One loose wheel may have cost Bubba Wallace something much bigger than a race win. At one point in San Diego, Bubba Wallace looked like a genuine threat to win NASCAR's first ever Cup race at Naval Base Coronado. The number 23 car had speed, Bubba was right in the mix, and everything seemed to be lining up for a huge day. Then, in a matter of seconds, everything changed. A wheel came off the car. The caution flew. NASCAR hit the number 23 team with a 2-lap penalty. And just like that, what looked like a possible victory turned into a full-blown disaster. But here's the part nobody can ignore. Bubba Wallace did not fold. He fought his way back and somehow finished second. And now, even after one of the best drives of his career, 2311 Racing could still be staring at more bad news this week. You'll want to stay with this one until the end, because the punishment that could follow this race may create a serious problem for Bubba Wallace and the number 23 team. And before we get into it, make sure you subscribe to NASCAR Nation News and turn on notifications so you never miss the latest NASCAR updates. San Diego was supposed to be another tough road course weekend for Bubba Wallace. Road and street courses have never really been his strongest territory. In fact, before this race, he had only one top 5 finish in his previous 40 Cup starts on road and street circuits. So going into this event, expectations were not exactly sky high. But from the start, something felt different. The number 23 Toyota had real pace. Bubba was running near the front and looked surprisingly comfortable on a track that usually gives him trouble. For a driver who has spent years trying to improve on these layouts, this was already shaping up to be one of his strongest performances. Then Stage 1 changed everything as Bubba came through a section of the course. The right front wheel detached from the car. His frustration came through immediately over the radio. There it went. "You've got to be kidding me." That one line said everything. The disbelief, the anger, the realization that a strong run had just been thrown into chaos, and everyone on the team knew exactly how serious this was. Under NASCAR rules, a wheel coming off the car brings an automatic 2-lap penalty during the race. On top of that, because loose wheels are such a major safety issue, the rulebook also calls for a 2-race suspension for 2 pit crew members. So in one moment, the number 23 team went from thinking about a possible win to simply trying to salvage the day. The penalty dropped Bubba to the back. On a tight technical street course, losing 2 laps usually kills any chance of a strong finish. Most drivers never recover from that kind of setback. But Bubba Wallace kept going. And that's what made this story so compelling. He didn't let the penalty define the race. He stayed focused, kept pressing, and slowly worked his way back into contention. Every lap mattered. Every pass mattered. Every small gain mattered. What looked like a ruined afternoon started turning into one of the most impressive comeback drives of the weekend. By the time the checkered flag waved, Bubba Wallace had climbed all the way back to second place. That's what made the finish so unusual. Most drivers would have been celebrating a runner-up result like a win. Bubba wasn't, because deep down, he knew exactly what had slipped away. After the race, his reaction could basically be summed up in 2 words. What if? What if the wheel had stayed on? What if there had been no penalty? What if the number 23 team had simply executed a clean race? Those questions were impossible to shake, because Bubba had shown the kind of speed that could have won the whole thing. Even Denny Hamlin was impressed. After the race, Hamlin said Bubba drove from the middle of the pack all the way back to second and eventually made it to the front. He called the comeback really impressive. But Hamlin also pointed out something even bigger. For years, road courses were not Bubba Wallace's strength. Now, he looked like a legitimate contender. And according to Hamlin, that matters just as much as the result itself. He explained that in NASCAR, if the only thing that makes you happy is winning trophies, you're going to be miserable. Sometimes you have to recognize the smaller victories along the way. For Bubba Wallace, one of those victories was proving that he has become a much better road course driver. That is a major step forward for 23XI Racing. For a long time, Tyler Reddick was the driver carrying the team's road course hopes whenever NASCAR went to these types of tracks. San Diego changed that conversation. Now the number 23 team has every reason to believe Bubba Wallace can be a real factor on road courses too. And the timing could not be better. NASCAR heads straight to Sonoma next. Historically, Sonoma has been one of Bubba's toughest tracks, but after what happened in San Diego, the outlook feels completely different. Instead of showing up at Sonoma just hoping to survive, Bubba now arrives with real confidence that he can compete. Still, the San Diego weekend leaves one major issue hanging over the team: the detached wheel. The rulebook is very clear, and based on similar incidents earlier this season, more penalties for the pit crew appear very likely. That means Bubba Wallace could be heading into the next races without key members of his crew. And in NASCAR, that can be a huge problem. Pit stops decide track position. Track position decides races. One mistake already took Bubba out of the fight for the win in San Diego. Now the fallout from that mistake could stretch beyond just one weekend. That's what makes this story so complicated. On one side, Bubba Wallace delivered one of the most impressive recovery drives of the season and earned his best finish of the year. On the other side, the number 23 team walked away from San Diego wondering if they had let a victory slip through their fingers. And maybe that's why Bubba didn't celebrate too hard, because second place wasn't enough. For the first time in a long time, he looked at a road course race and truly believed he could have won it. That kind of feeling can sting. But it can also be the thing that pushes a driver to the next level. San Diego showed everyone that Bubba Wallace and the number 23 team are getting stronger. Now the only question is whether they can carry that momentum forward while dealing with the fallout from one costly mistake. And that's where this story gets even more interesting. Because if Bubba Wallace can turn this frustration into fuel, San Diego may end up being remembered not as the race that got away, but as the race that changed everything for the number 23 team.